Hey everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday, where I answer the questions that seem to be prevalent within the health and fitness industry. So today, I'm flabbergasted at how many people have no idea what macros are. So we're gonna talk a little bit about what they are, why they matter, and why it's a little more important to track those versus just calories themselves. So let's talk a little bit about that. And the only reason I bring this up, I know I've talked about it before, but macros do matter. We kind of look at, I'm eating less calories than I burn. How come I'm not losing weight? Well, because macros count. So let's talk a little bit about that, but let's talk about what the macros are. So macro stands for macronutrient, which just means the main foods that we eat that give us energy. So that would be, and I know you're going to hear this and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That would be proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So the thing is, each one of those do different things biologically within our system. And so to be able to say, well, I'm eating a certain amount of calories, but they do different things. So you can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to eat all of this ice cream because, it's under 1,200 calories. First of all, it's sugar. So, if you've listened to me at all, you know how much I preach against eating too much sugar. It is not good for you. It is an addictive substance. So let's go into more of this. Why do they matter? Calories versus macros. Like I said, they each do different things. So proteins, which is anything from, meats to, there are some plant-based proteins. The downside to plant-based proteins is that you tend to get a lot of carbohydrates in order to get enough proteins out of those plant-based options. So again, that's the trade-off, that depending on what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to have to figure out how to get enough proteins without getting an abundance of carbohydrates. Now, when you're trying to lose weight, which I don't like that term, but when you're trying to burn fat, you're going to have to drop your carbohydrates, because here's why. I'm going to talk about this in a second. The carbohydrates, Sandy says sugar is the devil and it's a drug. True. So here's the deal with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are purely an energy source. Now, that being said, you do need some carbohydrates in your nutrition plan. Now, let me just give you an example. Vegetables are technically a carbohydrate, but they're also very, very nutrient dense. And it's the fact that we don't eat for calories, we eat for nutrients. And again, I know it doesn't make sense to some of you, but your body doesn't run on calories. It runs on vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C. Like, in order to be optimal and to not be sick, your body has to get enough of those nutrients. So obviously the vegetables play a huge role there, but carbohydrates are purely an energy source to your body. It doesn't do anything else. It's a pure energy source. It turns to glucose in your system. Now, obviously, something that is a processed carbohydrate is going to break down faster to glucose in your system. So anything that is, like, let's just say bread, right? Because although it doesn't necessarily have a ton of sugar, it is a carbohydrate, and that enriched white flour, bleached flour, breaks down to glucose immediately in your system. Are we following so far? I just gotta make sure I stay on track of what I'm talking about, because I tend to get a little out of there. So here's the deal. If you are providing your body with all the energy that it needs through carbohydrates, why would it burn fat for fuel, especially stored fat? So when people say, well, I'm eating the right amount of calories, but if they're eating too many carbohydrates and they're not losing weight, that is why. Your body has no reason to tap in your fat stores. And weight does not necessarily, if you are losing weight, that doesn't necessarily mean you're losing it out of the correct thing. I don't know about you, but I want to lose fat. I don't necessarily want to lose muscle. So again, you just have to know how your body works. And again, this is stuff they don't really teach in school. And even if let's just say you take a biology class, you might get a gist, but even an up-to-date nutrition class, which I've taken in the last year, still has a lot of misinformation, which I am just absolutely flabbergasted. I would say food science is one of the sciences that has the least amount of research, unbiased research, and up-to-date technology research and information. So it's frustrating. You think that to this day and age that we would be up-to-date and up to speed on that. And that's not true, because if you look around our country, we are intensely overweight. As a matter of fact, we are predominantly, we're obese, which I'm going to say it again. I really think that part of the problem with the virus going around is that the American Standard Diet does not support your immune system. It actually makes you metabolically unhealthy and thereby more susceptible to having complications from a virus. So get your stuff together. That's what I'm gonna say about that. Okay, so proteins, each of those macronutrients do something different. Proteins help build muscle tissue and prevent tissue loss, muscle loss. It also helps tissue repair. And it also helps produce essential hormones and enzymes. So super important. If you've ever heard of an amino acid, that's what your body breaks those proteins down into. Now, I love the fact that proteins, I love meat, so I'm just not gonna complain about it. But it's actually a highly thermogenic nutrient. Your body has to heat up to break it down. Now, when we talk about each one of these macronutrients, there's good options and there's some not so good options, and we're gonna talk about that. But when it comes to meats, I know a lot of people say, well, I don't eat steak because saturated fat is bad. It is not. Now, that being said, if you're remember, you don't eat just the food, you're eating what you eats. So if you're eating something that's been fed on grain, you're eating grain. You're not necessarily eating just the meat itself. So obviously something that's grass-fed or wild is gonna be a better option than what's mass-produced today. So I understand when people say it's not necessarily healthy, because that can be true depending on where you're getting your proteins from. But proteins are very, very important. And I would say that the majority of Americans get so focused on, like, I don't even understand it. Like, I can't have too much protein. True. You can if you already have some kidney issues, but for most people don't get enough protein. So keep that in mind. And also on the side of that, proteins per gram are only 4 calories. So keep that in mind, because we're gonna talk a little bit about each of those. So carbohydrates, like I said, are your body's main source of fuel. It does break down into glucose. Some of that gets stored in your muscle and your liver, stored in your muscle as glycogen. Hi, Sam. But of course, any overabundance is stored in body fat. So you have to be careful. I find it fascinating. I love the app, MyFitnessPal. It's great because it's free. You can get the free version. You can track your food. What I don't like about it is it uses one algorithm for everybody, no matter what your goal is. And I don't like that, because I don't even know where they got their algorithm from, because it just tells you too many carbohydrates. And again, you can't burn fat if you are taking in too many carbohydrates, especially if they are simple sugars. And I even mean fruit. You know, some people think, well, I'm eating fruit, it's healthy. Well, yes, it's better than eating processed food, but it's still sugar and your body still treats it as such. So keep that in mind. I love fruit, but I limit myself to maximum 2 servings a day, and I eat that alongside a protein so that the sugar doesn't hit my bloodstream too fast. Okay, fats. Now, if you guys remember, you know, for a long time, fats were really vilified. You know, fat causes fat. Yeah, that's not quite how that rolls out. You know, and things like saturated fats, like I said, are not necessarily the problem. Now, trans fats are. You have to be careful of trans fats. Also be careful of, you know, I find it fascinating that they're still producing commercials that show that vegetable oil is heart healthy, which is complete BS because it's not made from vegetables and it's chemically processed. So stay away from vegetable oil, canola oil, which the only thing that means is it's Canadian oil. That's it. It's Canadian vegetable oil, which is so dumb. You want to stick with healthier fats. Now, the benefit of fats is huge, right? Essential in cell, nerve tissue, and hormone production. It's also essential for fat-soluble vitamins. So like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K need to actually be, need the fat to be utilized and break down within your system and be carried to where they need to go. So really quickly, let's talk about the calories again. So remember, proteins have 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram, and fats are 9 calories per gram. So they are more nutrient dense. They also, or they're more calorie dense, but they also help with satiation, which means that they help you stay fuller longer. Now, I heard something the other day. I listened to Dr. Mark Hyman quite a bit because he's very much a functional medicine integrative specialist. He really likes to look at the human body as a whole, and he also looks at food as medicine. And one of the things that he said that I found a super great way to put it is that when you eat a lot of processed food and junk, you're not getting enough nutrients. And the problem with that is that your body is hungry for nutrients, and it will stay hungry until it receives the nutrients that it needs. So if you're still eating empty calories with a lot of junk and garbage, calories but no substance, you're going to continue to be hungry. It's just like if you eat potatoes or potato chips, and you eat like an entire meal, maybe a hamburger, you might not be able to continue to eat, say, vegetables and any more of the hamburger itself, but you still have room for that cake, right? So again, a lot of times we overeat because our body is still looking for nutrients, but we're not getting it through that processed food. Okay, the last one I want to talk about really quick is alcohol, because technically it is a little bit different than the other nutrients. It's not really a nutrient, you guys. I don't honestly see an upside to alcohol. Yeah, there's some polyphenols in red wine, but really the way that it works out, it's really the downside doesn't outweigh the upside doesn't outweigh the downside. But alcohol has 6 calories per gram. So the problem with alcohol isn't that it necessarily causes fat. It can cause fatty liver disease with overconsumption, but it's that it prevents you from burning fat. Remember that your body cannot burn fat in the presence of 3 things: alcohol, cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and insulin, which again, if you're eating too much in the way of carbohydrates, especially simple sugars, you're going to store fat and not be able to burn it. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about quality matters, because one of the things that I have found, I'm not a big fan of diets. I'm just not. First of all, it doesn't work for everybody. Everybody's bodies are different. Your genetics are different. Your likes and dislikes, your traditions, your social aspect, is very different from each other. But I really find it fascinating, because how I kind of work with my clients is we really do kind of focus more on if it fits your macros. The problem with the actual protocol of if it fits your macros is that if it fits your macros, it's open, right? Now, I'm not against having a bowl of ice cream once in a while, just because, if that's something that you love. I'm completely lactose intolerant, so it doesn't work great for me. I love ice cream. It just does not love me. So we don't do a whole lot of that. But the problem being is that just because it fits your macros does not necessarily mean it's healthy. If it still contains sugar, one of the big things I teach my clients to do is not just to read the nutrition label, but to read the ingredient list. The nutrition label doesn't always give you enough information, nor does it really make a whole lot of sense. But if you start to look under that ingredient list, Leanna mentions a big bag of caramel M&Ms. Yeah, we just don't bring those home anymore because they're crack. But if you read the ingredient list, you're going to discover a whole lot of things, especially as you get to know what these things mean. You'll start to understand that there's a lot of garbage in our food that doesn't do a body good, right? So, things like anything ending in ose is sugar. You're going to find a lot of additives and preservatives, which, by the way, are toxins that your body is got to process or is going to shove in your body fat, right? So obviously, if it's doing that, it's trying to protect you from them. You're also going to find things like soybean oil and just a lot of okay, here's an example. One of the things, I love my coffee, and I like a little bit of creamer in it. And so initially I was like, well, cool, they make a sugar-free creamer. Guess what one of the top 3 ingredients in creamer is? Believe it or not, it's vegetable oil. Well, we already know that's not healthy, so now you've taken a product that is seemingly healthier because it's sugar-free, but now it's got something in it that makes it extremely unhealthy again. So again, you have to just pay attention. Now, the cool thing is that as you discover certain things are not good for you, you can find other options, right? I've gotten very good at, I love pancakes, but I'm gluten-free. I have Hashimoto's. That is one of the things that I need to do is be gluten-free to be my healthiest. So I make a protein pancake, and to be honest, it's probably better than a regular pancake, and there is zero grains in there. It's literally egg whites and protein powder. So again, you get creative over time and find things that you love, and it's going to take some time. You're not going to be able to figure it out overnight, and that's why I tell people, don't be unrealistic about the time frame that you're going to accomplish this in, because if you think you're going to lose 50 pounds in 3 months, you're not going to change this in 3 months. There's too much that you have to accomplish to do that. Okay, so when is a calorie not a calorie? Obviously, a processed calorie is absorbed faster than a whole food calorie. So let's take, say, a Pop-Tart, because I love that. I've had a knockdown, drag out argument with Pop-Tarts in the middle of a store before, versus even an apple. And even though an apple is a simple sugar, the Pop-Tart is obviously going to break down faster because it's already been processed. Leanna says that, yes, I do love pancakes. Yeah, especially, but I'm done competing, so that's okay. Once in a while, I do have pancakes. The Pop-Tart is processed, so obviously your body, it's because it's already broken down, your body's going to absorb it faster. Now, the apple, even though it does contain natural sugars, it has nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients in it, and fiber, which is going to slow down the absorption rate of the sugars to your bloodstream. So even if they were the same calorie density, you're going to absorb more of the Pop-Tart than you are of the apple. Or even let's just say something like broccoli. Broccoli is a carbohydrate. Especially if you don't cook it, your body is not going to be able to absorb it all. So again, a calorie, you can't call calories and calories the same. And that's why I have a really hard time with whichever, I think it's Coca-Cola, that talks about how, calories matter, balance in all things. I'm like, that's great, but your whatever 250 calories in a can of cola is not the same as the 250 calories in 4 or 5 ounces of steak. It just doesn't work that way. So Sam says he tries to stay away from sugar. Good. I know you're supposed to. We've had that conversation. Hi, Olivia. Okay, so let's talk about, so how do you know if it's a healthy food? You know what? Really, guys, honestly, think about it. If it is boxed, if it is shelf stable, it is probably not the best option. My philosophy, and I know this is pretty simple and you might be a little grossed out by it, but if you can't kill it or grow it, it's probably not something you should be eating regularly. Even protein bars in my household, to me, it's kind of like eating a candy bar because it tastes a lot like that, but it's still a processed food. To me, that's a plan B or plan C. It's not necessarily something that we should be eating on a daily basis, even though just because it says protein, okay, come on, protein cookies, give me a break, people. It still has sugar. Just because it sounds healthy or because it has added proteins doesn't, or let's just say organic. An organic cookie still contains sugar. Think about it. I think the problem with today, and I'm going to extend this through every issue we're having in our country right now, is that people don't have any common sense. Or if you have it, people aren't using it. And if you don't like me saying that, get over yourself because, you know what? Take responsibility for your issues. All right. I'm really frustrated with the world right now. Can you tell? All right. So we talked about loophole. Okay. So, even with if it fits your macros, loopholes, you cannot cheat biology. We're all looking for that magic pill. Oh, I use apple cider vinegar. Okay. Well, that might help do some things. There's some definite benefits, but it's not going to outdo the pizza and beer that you had. So you can't, there's no cheat. There's no loophole. There's no way that your body might not react the same as mine. We're from different genes. So again, you have to figure out and pay attention to what works and what doesn't work, and don't think that you can cheat the system. It just doesn't work. And yes, you're going to have to track your food. If you want to know what your formula is and what works, if you don't pay attention, how do you know? How do you know? It flabbergasts me when people come and they say, well, several years ago I lost weight and it was great. And I'm like, okay, well, what did you do? I don't know. Okay, well, how am I supposed to work with that? Like, if I don't know what worked in the first place, we're going to have to start from scratch. So paying attention is a big part of it. All right, how do you figure out your formula? That's a hard one. Please do not go online and type out macro calculator. You know what? They're way too simple. They don't take, it's kind of like when you hop on the treadmill at the gym and it asks for your weight and that's it. And then it tells you how many calories you burn. Do not count on that. It didn't ask enough questions. It didn't say, what's your body fat percentage? Are you a girl or a guy? How often are you active? It doesn't ask enough questions. You cannot rely on that for anything, to be honest. It doesn't give you enough information. So if you're relying on some sort of just basic algorithm with a food calculator that you find online, it's not going to be enough information. So it does come down to what your goals are, with some other things, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you're trying to lose weight or burn body fat, get lean, whatever, it's going to be completely different than if you're trying to grow muscle. When I'm on a grow cycle, now again, I don't compete anymore, so I really don't need to grow, but when I'm growing, I actually eat more carbohydrates so that my body will use the proteins to build muscle, and it won't break down those proteins to glucose for energy. When I'm trying to lean, I eat less carbohydrates because I want my body to actually tap into my fat stores. So really, if you're not sure, your best option is to find a professional who knows what they're talking about. Even if it's not me, please, one of the things that I find interesting is that as personal trainers, we don't get a whole lot of nutrition information unless we choose to. My basic certificate for personal training was very much based on the body, the muscle groups, how the body moves, what planes they move in, those kind of things. And I'm going to tell you, I've learned way more in actually training for 8-9 years than I did about reading about it. Now, when it comes to nutrition, there's just, first of all, you guys, there's just not enough nutrition education. And a lot of it is so antiquated. That's why everybody's confused. They're like, okay, but I heard this and I heard that and I heard this and I heard that. please go to somebody who's done enough education. You have to even really watch, don't be offended, registered dietitians that work for corporations, because they have rules they have to follow. It's unfortunate. But if you're not sure, go to a good coach who seems to have really great results. Get referrals, check with them, check in with people. Did you enjoy your coach? Do they seem to really know what they're talking about? Don't just go to somebody because they're cute or because they, really do your due diligence, guys. There's just so much misinformation out there, and there's a lot of information and a lot of, like, Instagram. Let's take, for instance, Instagram. No offense, Instagram models, you're all cute. Look at me. But when you see a 21-year-old who's doing some exercise that she looks like she's cute, but she has absolutely no nutrition background, why would you ask her for information? Just saying. I know I'm going to have some little bikini girls again. Like, you're just so mean. Get over yourself. Just because you got on stage does not make you a coach. Get over yourself. Okay, so make sure that you go to somebody who knows, because it's different for everybody. As a coach, I start with some basics. I look at the body fat percentage, the background, their genetics, their age, what their goals are. I don't cookie cutter anything I do, because it doesn't work. And even once I start out with a basic nutrition program, I watch to see what their body does. And then we check to see if there's any extra variables. It's a science. It's not, well, it's part art, part science. You can't just go, well, this works for her, so it should work for me. So don't be going to another person and go, your coach gave you a diet, can I have it? It doesn't work that way, people. I love you all. I want you to be happy and healthy. I just want you to do it the right way. It is a lifestyle. You've got to be able to come up with not just the physical work towards it, right? The consistency and doing the workouts. You have to fix this too. If you are not where you want to be, there is a reason, and you've got to figure that out first, or you're not going to be able to stay. When you reach your goal, you're not going to be able to stay there. Let me make sure that I got everything that I wanted to talk about today. I think I did. So hopefully you understand how important it is to not just pay attention to your calories, but you have to pay attention to the macros, and that those macros have to be quality sources. If you have any more questions, please make sure that you either drop the question down below. You may also absolutely reach me directly through Facebook Messenger. I have no problem answering questions. I love that part. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. And if you do need to have some sort of, I do a free consultation. You are welcome to hop on my website, fillmorefitness.com. Hop on there, find the program where it says free consultation, and sign up for it. I do a lot of education completely free. So have an incredible night, you guys. I hope you are staying well, stay healthy. Please don't just work on the physical. Keep your head good. That is super important right now. So have an incredible week, you guys. I love you all. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a good night.